Pungyo's Andy on location here. We're going to be testing out obviously the two different devices. I've got this abomination in front of me that I picked up. You can check out the video in the cards or down below in my video recommendations. This is from SmallRig. It's a case for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I've got here this little connector that's going to give you, the double view. And so we're going to go ahead and test a myriad of different ways that these devices differ or that they're similar to, notwithstanding basically shooting in all conditions that I can think of. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into this. As far as pictures as well, there's going to be no post-processing or editing. I'm just going to take them side by side in a very myriad of different locations in low light and situations in the sun and whatnot. And I'll have all of their settings as well notated next to their pictures as well. Okay, we're gonna start off with just the base photo. We're gonna go just on the photo on both the iPhone and the Samsung. They're both set at 4:3 resolution at their base resolution, max resolution at 4:3, except on the Samsung I don't have it at the 108 megapixel. I'm just gonna point and shoot, take a shot. You'll be able to see those as they are in there. You can tell that the camera looks pretty good. It is a little blown out, I feel like, on the Samsung, a little over contrasty. The low lights you can see, near the fence and in the shadow there, that it actually does get, pretty good detail. There is some compression going on at the fence where it goes into the sky, but all in all, I think right here it's a pretty straightforward shot. I feel like it's a little bit softer on the iPhone 12. Now we're going to go ahead and zoom in to the base zoom. So for the iPhone it's going to be 2.5. For the Samsung it's going to be 3 times zoom. I'm going to square it up, take a shot, square it up, take a shot. There, you're going to notice here that on the iPhone, I feel like it's performing not as well. On the Samsung, you've got the dedicated 3.0 telephoto lens, which I feel like is a better camera from Sony, I believe, even though the camera lenses from Apple are from Sony. But I've never liked the Tele on the iPhone. Moving up, we're going to go ahead and zoom as far as we can on the iPhone. That's going to be 12x on that Tele lens. On the Samsung, you can actually go 10x. There are 2 Tele lenses. There is basically the 3x and the 10x, which allows you to get the extra zoom ability. So we're going to go ahead and zoom into 30x to see. It's very, very impressive. When you tap to focus, it actually utilizes the image stabilization and also use digital stabilization to be able to get you a clear shot when you're zooming in at that 30x. Let's go ahead and zoom again now all the way up to the max. That's 100x. Once you find your spot that you want to zoom on, it will, within the software, it'll just kind of focus it. So I focused on the Sony. Let's go ahead now and show you our wide. On Samsung, the wide is at 0.6x, whereas the iPhone is going to be 0.5x. So you're going to get about a 16 millimeter or 14 millimeter on the iPhone, whereas about a 16 millimeter on the Samsung. I'm not too pleased with the way that the iPhone actually utilizes the wide as opposed to the Samsung. The Samsung is a lot more contrasty, you can tell. You can tell there's a lot more saturation, and it doesn't blow out a lot of the light when you're pointed up against the sun. You can get the detail in all the chip paint, and you can also even see some of the grain, which is crazy. Let's go ahead now and move to portrait mode. Portrait mode is really where I think the iPhone really shows off its true colors. Here is the iPhone with portrait, just regular 2.5x. On the portrait here, on the Samsung, we've got it on the zoom, so I think it's at the 2x. I'm going to change to the wide portrait now on the Samsung, and shooting it against that tripod, it looks really, really odd where it hyper blurs the background, whereas on the iPhone, you're going to get more of a natural depth of field, I feel like. That is just I don't like how that looks. It's just over blurred. I feel like it's digitally blurred there. You're not getting any kind of a depth here. And then once you zoom into the camera itself, you can see that there is some weird compression going on at the edges of the Sony, as well as the edges where the little rabbit's foot is. Okay, let's look at the portrait features. On the portrait features, I feel like the portrait here on the iPhone is much better. I feel like you've got all of these different toggles here that kind of make the, I don't know, the experience better. And it gives you, again, in my opinion, a better portrait experience. You're utilizing, better depth of field rather than a digital blur like I feel like you're getting on the Samsung. Over on the Samsung here, you can see again what I was talking about. You've got that weird like hyper blur, but then the subject there gets really sharp. Zooming in, again, it feels a little bit too blurry, but once you go into the picture itself, you can change the background effect, and you can lessen the blur or make it more blurry, which is something that you can do on the iPhone as well, which I won't mess with. Going here to the iPhone, we're gonna tap that image, and you cannot make that post adjustment here. So that's a difference between the two devices. Okay, so Samsung has a dedicated night option where obviously it deals with pictures that are taken at night. iPhone has it built in, so when you get to a low light situation, it's going to pop that night configuration. There is a tennis ball underneath the stairs that you still get some good color to, even despite the low light. I don't think it's true a night shot, because there is some blowout there where the cement is. When you look on the iPhone, I feel like it gives you a little bit more color. You're able to get a little bit more detail in that cement as opposed to the Samsung. I could be wrong. You let me know what you think. With that said, let's go ahead and do panoramas. I want to compare the panos and see how well they go. Just from the offset for the panorama, it looks like it only uses two cameras. You've got your ultra wide and your wide. Wide seems to be the best option here. For the iPhone, you've got use of all three cameras. You got your 2.5, 1, and 1.5x. Let's go ahead and just do 1x wide. I'm going to start with the Samsung and go with the iPhone and see how it takes. The iPhone is not responding because it's requiring me to hold it vertical instead of horizontal. We're going to stop there. Let's turn the camera now. I want it to do it the other way. There we go. Panorama. It's going to be different because it's, again, vertical as opposed to horizontal. You can do horizontal on the Samsung. Maybe I should just do it that way. But let's show off how they look here. I'm kind of impressed. They both look about the same. It's capturing good detail on the fence. It looks like, again, the iPhone is going to be softer. The Samsung is much more contrasty, but the saturation on the iPhone appears to be, more. That it appears that the pool is very much better contrast, and it almost looks warped on the Samsung. So I might give this one to the iPhone. The iPhone seems to be, getting more detail, especially in the darks of that pool. You're able to see those leaves a little more clearer and not have so much digital noise thing. I'm going to go ahead and take two different pictures on the photo at 1x. On the iPhone, it's going to be the highest megapixel. I think it's 24 megapixels. And then we're going to do the 108 on the Samsung. So the way that you do it here is by going to you know, this 4.3, and then tapping the megapixel 108 megapixel. So it'll let me. There we go. So I'm just gonna frame it, tap it, camera. But let's take a look at this here, just from the viewfinder on your phone. By zooming in, what kind of detail we get. I can keep zooming on the Samsung, meaning that this picture is gigantic. I mean, look at that. That's just 108 megapixels lined up. Now, whether those pixels are the highest quality is to be determined, but as I zoom out, you can tell the difference there in quality. You're getting a lot more detail and a lot more sharpness. I think you're going to lose out on depth of field if you're going to be taking these really high res pictures on your Samsung. But that's just a cursory glance here. I just literally tapped one photo. I mean, I could be completely wrong here. And feel free to let me know in the comments there if I am. Okay, so let's go ahead and shift gears over to the photo. I've taken a couple pictures. It looks like the photo has two different options here on the iPhone and on the Samsung. Both of them are like a single selfie and then like a group selfie. They zoom in digitally and then they zoom out to the normal millimeterage of the camera. Both of them look pretty decent. I don't hate selfies, or at least the selfie camera. It's not something that I like doing. I don't take lots of selfies of myself, so I don't really have much to say, but it's definitely pretty comparable. Both of the cameras have, you know, decent exposure, as well as, you know, it does its computational photography, extra like beautifying, which I'm not too keen about. I've got some blemishes on my face that it's actively like fixing and touching up, which I don't like. Alright, Pungos, well, that's about it. As many of the features on the camera that I wanted to focus on. Again, for me, the camera is the main thing. All the other are ancillary. With that said, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and with any vlog, signing out.